The White House stands in solemn quiet today, the crisp October air heavy with memory and meaning. Inside the East Room, under the golden chandeliers, President Donald Trump takes the podium. To his left stands Erika Kirk, widow of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk, her expression composed, yet her eyes reflecting both loss and pride. Today, Trump is awarding a posthumous Presidential Medal of Freedom to Charlie Kirk, the young conservative activist and media influencer who was killed just weeks ago in a campus attack in Utah. His death shocked the nation and ignited a renewed debate over the boundaries of political speech, activism and security in America's increasingly divided public spaces. Trump begins his remarks slowly, deliberately. His tone is softer than usual, a measured mix of respect and resolve. As I said on the day that he was assassinated, he begins, Charlie Kirk was a martyr for truth and for freedom. For a moment, the room falls silent. The cameras zoom in. The audience, aides, supporters and family seem to hold their breath. The word assassinated lands with weight. Trump continues, calling Kirk a warrior who spoke boldly, who challenged lies, and who paid the ultimate price for standing firm in what he believed. Behind the president, a portrait of Ronald Reagan hangs on the wall, a fitting backdrop, many note, for an event steeped in the language of conservative valor and free speech. Charlie Kirk had built his reputation as the founder of Turning Point USA, a youth-driven conservative organization that galvanized student activism on American campuses. His fiery speeches, relentless social media campaigns, and unapologetic style made him both celebrated and controversial. To his supporters, he was a truth-teller in an age of censorship. To his critics, he was a provocateur who pushed polarization to its limits. But whatever one's view, his death changed the tone of that debate. The attack in Utah, which authorities described as targeted political violence, occurred as Kirk was addressing students about freedom of speech on campus. He was struck by gunfire moments after concluding his talk, an event that left 2 others injured and the country grappling with what Trump now calls a new wave of ideological terror. As the president continues his speech, his voice grows more forceful. Especially in the wake of Charlie's assassination, he says, our country must have absolutely no tolerance for this radical left violence, extremism and terror. We're done with the angry mobs, and we're not going to let our cities be unsafe. The crowd applauds, loud, sustained and emotional. In those words, Trump channels both a father's grief and a politician's fury. He positions Kirk's death not only as a personal tragedy, but as a symbol, a rallying cry against what he calls the unrestrained hatred of America's far left. Reporters scribble in their notebooks. Some in the press pool note that this is Trump's first formal speech to directly link Kirk's killing to a broader campaign against extremism. It is also the first time he has publicly described it as an assassination, a term that instantly reverberates through cable news networks and social media feeds. Then Trump shifts tone. His next words carry a note of humor, a small moment of humanity amid grief. He didn't necessarily love those enemies so much, Trump says, prompting a few chuckles from the audience. I heard he loved his enemies, and I said, wait a minute, is that the same Charlie that I know? I'm not sure, but I didn't want to get into it. The levity lightens the room briefly, reminding everyone of Kirk's spirited character, his sharp wit and boldness that made him both loved and loathed across the political spectrum. When Erika Kirk steps forward to speak, her hands tremble slightly as she adjusts the microphone. Her voice is calm, steady, filled with quiet conviction. Surprisingly enough, she says, he did pray for his enemies, which is very hard, but he did. I saw him do it. He never did it in front of anyone else, but I can attest to that. Her words humanize the man whose public persona was often defined by controversy. Behind the firebrand, she reminds the nation, was a husband, a believer, a man who carried his faith quietly, even as his politics roared. The room softens again. Many attendees, staffers, supporters, and young Turning Point volunteers bow their heads. As the ceremony reaches its conclusion, Trump lifts the gleaming blue-ribboned medal, holding it beside Erika Kirk. Together, they raise it toward the cameras. The gold medallion reflects the flashbulbs, a moment captured forever in photographs that will headline every major network tonight. Erika's final words close the event with grace and pain intertwined. Now I can say with confidence, Mr. President, she tells Trump, that you have given him the best birthday gift he could ever have. The audience rises in applause. For a brief moment, ideology dissolves into emotion. Outside the White House gates, the reaction is divided. Conservative groups hail the ceremony as a long overdue recognition of the risks faced by those who challenge what they call the culture of censorship. Progressive activists, meanwhile, accuse Trump of politicizing tragedy, turning grief into campaign rhetoric. But for the Kirks, the day is deeply personal, a commemoration of love, loss, and legacy. Charlie Kirk's death, and now his presidential honor, have placed him in a complex chapter of American history. To supporters, he is immortalized as a defender of conservative ideals, a voice silenced by hate. To critics, his canonization represents a troubling drift toward ideological martyrdom in politics. Yet, even among skeptics, there's acknowledgement that his death marks something deeper, the crossing of a line in America's volatile political discourse. In the weeks since the attack, college campuses across the US have become flashpoints once again. Debates over free expression, security, and accountability dominate headlines. The Utah State Board has announced a review of campus security policies. Meanwhile, social media continues to be flooded with tributes, short clips of Kirk's fiery speeches, quotes about liberty, and emotional footage of vigils from across the nation. At Liberty University, hundreds gathered to light candles in his memory. In Washington, Turning Point USA announced the establishment of the Charlie Kirk Freedom Fellowship, a scholarship for students committed to defending constitutional values and open debate. Even some of his fiercest opponents in academia expressed sorrow at the violence, noting that no political disagreement should ever end in death. In this moment, America's divisions are laid bare, yet also its shared grief. The image of Erika Kirk standing beside President Trump, clutching the medal, has become one of the defining visuals of the fall of 2025. It is more than a photo op. It is a mirror held up to a country wrestling with identity, ideology, and loss. The White House event lasted only a few minutes, but its resonance may last far longer. For Trump, it was a reaffirmation of his core message that America must reclaim strength and conviction in the face of what he calls radical extremism. For Erika Kirk, it was closure, a way to honor a husband taken too soon, whose passion became both his purpose and his peril. For others, it's a moment to pause and reflect, not on politics, but on humanity, on what it means to speak freely, and on how fragile the line has become between debate and danger. As the crowd disperses and the East Room empties, the medal remains, a glint of gold against white marble, symbolizing both recognition and reminder. Outside, the evening sun dips behind the Washington Monument, casting long shadows across the South Lawn. The echo of Trump's voice lingers, a martyr for truth and freedom. In the days ahead, the conversation will continue about speech, safety, and sacrifice. But for now, the story of Charlie Kirk rests where it began, in conviction, controversy, and the enduring belief that words, even dangerous ones, still matter.
Presidential Medal of Freedom is a big deal. You have the Congressional Medal of Honor.
The United States honors him as a martyr for truth and freedom.
As I said, on the day that he was assassinated, Charlie Kirk was a martyr for truth and for freedom. One before, especially in the wake of Charlie's assassination, our country must have absolutely no tolerance for this radical left violence, extremism, and terror. We're done with the angry mobs, and we're not going to let our cities be unsafe. We're going to make sure that we're enemies. And he didn't necessarily love those enemies so much. You know, I heard he loved his enemies, and I said, wait a minute, is that the same Charlie that I know? I'm not sure, but I didn't want to get into it.
Surprisingly enough, he did pray for his enemies, which is very hard, but he did. He did. He did. No one else, I mean, I saw him do it. No, he never did it in front of anyone else, but I can attest to that. But now I can say with confidence, Mr. President, that you have given him the best birthday gift he could ever have.